if I get it wrong, then no. But I think it was a chef. It was been probably about 8 years ago. I think it was now, who was working. I think it was just working at, I want to say, the Tate Modern, who worked over a month without having a day off. I think he worked about 36, 37 days in a row. He had a day off, went to his parents, got a cold, and he died because his immune system was
I remember that. Yeah.
I think as well, just going back to Richard, just saying about, obviously, it's sort of why, you know, you're saying like chefs' responsibility, they got to sort of like take care of themselves. I do think as well, it massively comes down to like the employers who, like, you have no other, like, there's really not many other industries. There's not no other, but there's not many other industries where you get a phone call on your day off and go, can you be in work in an hour? And you go, and you feel guilty because you're so close, because you do work all these hours. And I've had it, and I'm on my day off. I've just woke up, maybe had some breakfast, and they go, can you come in? And I'm like, you shouldn't be calling me on my day off. I don't, like, you're not signed in blood to these companies, but you feel guilty and you say, yeah, I'll be there in an hour and a half. Oh, I really need you here by 9 o'clock. Okay, I'll rush. You know, you don't shower, you run out the door, whatever it is, because you've been told to come in. You know, I'll give you an extra day off next week, which never happens. And with chefs aren't able to, because especially at a young age, you feel guilty. You feel, again, you got to prove yourself. And I think you feel like a dick. If you turned around at, say, 22 years old and your head chef's like, oh, mate, I really need backup for tonight's service. Can you come in? You're like, oh, yeah, of course. I want to prove myself. I want to be that guy. And you get that reward. You come in, everyone's like, oh, yeah, good, turned up, whatever.
But when does it end?
But this is what I mean. Employees need to have a strict code of conduct where they're like, chefs do not get contacted on their days off. Again, I'm sure you guys know, you know, head chefs as well. Like, when I've especially worked at smaller places, you know, I get the owners calling me on my day off, and I'm like, it's my fucking day off. I don't need to be at your beck and call 7 days a week, 18 hours a day. I'm sorry. I used to do it. I did it for 2 years to this place where anytime they called, any day they needed me to work, as a head chef, I was there. I was picking up the phone. I was doing orders on my day off, late at night, when I was out with my friends, whatever, I was covering stuff. And I thought, you know what? No, because all it is in the end is it's their business. They need to know how to run it. They need to hire the correct staff. It's not just all on that one person. And the whole industry needs to realise that. And coming out of this, what scares me is coming out of this pandemic is that it's going to go in the polar opposite way, because there's going to be so many restaurants, pubs and that shut. There's going to be even more chefs without jobs. So they're going to be willing to work more hours for less money, which is worrying me, you know?
Yeah. I agree with that, actually. And I think in terms of that, you know, coming in on days off, working the hours that we do, again, it's something that just needs to change. Otherwise, we're not going to attract more people into this industry. It's a vicious cycle.
100%.
You know, you can't expect to be able to sell working in hospitality to someone if you say to them, oh, well, yeah, you'll get days off, but sometimes you're not gonna.
Yeah.
And and you know, you're gonna work crap hours, but they'll probably be longer than what we said they're gonna be. So you know, how annoying is it when you look at a contract and it says, say, 45 hours, which is higher than most jobs are anyway.
Yeah.
Look at a 45-hour contract and you go, well, that'll be 55.
No, 100. It just becomes one of those things. Like, I remember a place I worked, we had this one weekly event every year. I think it lasted a week or two even each year. And everyone knew it was that week where you do big hours. I mean, to be fair to them, that, you know, it was paid overtime and everyone knew about it. Like, they'd call in extra 30 odd chefs, just call in your mates. Everyone come work this week. It's going to be hectic. You'll get good money for it, but you'll work your socks off. And I remember at the end of the week, we tallied up our hours. It was just on a piece of paper on the sign-in sheet. I remember I was with the pastry team. I went over with the demi chef and the head pastry chef, and we went over and tallied up our hours. And the comedy chef tallied up his up first, and it was like a competition. That's how it was. It felt like a competition. When he then signed up that he'd done 120 hours that week, and it was like, look, I've done 120 hours, and it was, you know, pat on the back, whatever, great job. I'd done mine up, and I think I'd done 100. I think I'd beaten by like an hour and a half. I think I'd done 121 and a half hours in a week. He then got mugged off because I'd done more hours, and he's still done 120 hours in a week or something like that. And it's,
that's exactly it, though. It's a badge of honour, isn't it?
It's badge of honour.
It is, yeah.
And then, like you say about getting calls of your days off, it doesn't, it doesn't stop. I'm not a head chef or anything, but you're saying as a head chef, the owners call you. Sometimes when you're like, the CDP level, the head chef would text you and go, well, why is this prep like that? That's not prep right. And then the mentality carries all the way down. You going onto his section, I might text a commie or the apprentice who was on his section on his day off, go, why is this prep like that? And it goes, it's a mentality owner to the head chef, to the CDP, to the demi, to the commie, to the apprentice. And it goes all the way down. And that mental stress, unfortunately, will lead to a lot of, mental health issues and ultimately, in some cases, depression.
Yeah. I mean, it's all to do with stress, isn't it?
Yeah, anxiety.
Stress and anxiety of the job. Like, you think about your job. I think about my job on my days off all the time. I'm terrible for it.
I don't know about you boys. Sorry, mate, go on.
Go on. No, go on.
No, I was just saying, I don't know about you guys, but like I've had jobs in the past where like maybe your team around you isn't the best, and even if you've got a Wednesday and a Thursday off coming up, I'll work my socks off on the Tuesday to get all the prep done.
Yeah.
Just so when I go back on a Friday, like I'll do 3 times prep as much as I need to do to then go back, just because you're not going to be in a bad situation coming up to the weekend, but then you do spend your days off worrying, and you're like, oh, are they going to do this? They're going to do this. And most of the time it would come that they wouldn't do it. Like you'd order in a certain meat, or, you needed to make a sauce or whatever, and you'd order it all in for the Wednesday when you're off, and then come back and it would all sort of still be in the fridge. And I think it's hard to get away from. Definitely. It's hard just to switch off.
I think
it's because it's a 24/7 business though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think the fact that all of us smiled whilst you said that means that it's happened to all of us, which probably.
Oh yeah, as you were saying it, it was like you were telling it from me. I was like, yeah, I know exactly what you're on about. You work your ass off, you stay late, and you're like, good. When I come back on Friday, it's all going to be okay. You come back Friday, and you're like,
it's just starting at zero, isn't it?
Yeah, starting again. Cool. And I've got the weekend, and then you start again. You get to your another days. Yeah.
It is a vicious circle. I think that's a big part of the problem.
I think that's like talking about, just sort of steering it back towards, like we said, about sort of like the mental health sort of with. I think what people what maybe they don't realise, they don't care, is like, for example, when you do, especially for myself, when I used to get like a text from a head chef, or as I say, phone call on my day off, as soon as the phone would go off, it would give me anxiety.
Yeah. 100%.
So I would get like a tense chest. I would feel scared about, what's he, and you'd see the start of the message, like you say, it would be someone's not turned up, or this prep's not done. And obviously we have a responsibility at our job to do our jobs, but I find because kitchens are so different to, again, you don't sit in an office, doing your own little folders and your files and your casework, whatever. You're not working somewhere where, I don't know, you've got like on a building site and you just get your job done day by day. We have to always have stuff like in stock and ready to go for, like, to serve and ready for the next night and that. And you may not have done something because you think, oh, I know, I've got 10 duck legs, that's enough. And then you get a text the next day saying, why did we not have 30 duck legs? You made a bad decision, but you're now suffering on your day off for it. And as I say, that can involve text messages, phone calls. I've had it where the head chef's called me screaming down the phone, and it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning because I'd forgot to put something on overnight. Yeah, I fucked up, but I'm getting this phone call, and then I'm panicking the whole day. I'm saying, oh, I'll come in, I'll help out, whatever. And he's like, no. And I'm thinking the whole day, I'm just worrying about going back to work and getting shit when I come back in that door.
You're absolutely right there. You hit the nail on the head. It sucks. That anxiety, that is anxiety, and it is, and that's not something we should be pushing onto anyone. We're all more in more senior roles now. There's something that Ryan knows. I just try not. I never try to do that to anyone in the kitchen.
That comment could not resonate more with me. What you just said about when you look at, even if you look at your phone and you've got a missed call from somebody at work, as soon as you see the name, it doesn't matter what it is, straight away, like your chest's going or whatever. And then sometimes you'll call them back and they'll say, Oh no, I was just going to say, did you see that thing on TV last night, or whatever? But as soon as you see the name, it automatically like panics you. And I remember exactly like what you just said. I was at a hotel before in the job I was at now, and I was like exec sous, so obviously I was in charge when the head chef wasn't there, and I placed the orders like I did every night, and somehow I placed the veg order with the fish company or something. It was something like that. So, and then I was off the next day. And then the next morning, he's called. Like, I got a call saying, "Sort of, you've done this," and I was like, "Okay, like it was a mistake, obviously. Like, you know, like well, there's nothing I can do about it now." But then you're worrying about it for 2 days because you know.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. That's you're right. If you make a mistake, it has so many consequences, but people don't realise that it's a mistake.
Yeah.
Like you don't mean to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, if you did it 10 times in a row, maybe someone would raise an eyebrow.
Exactly. If you're doing it every day,
if it's something like that, it happens so much in our industry. That sort of petty little snidey text message, just to
there's pictures as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, don't.
A picture of a tub labelled incorrectly or something.
Oh mate, Ryan's got the best ones of them.
I think also, like, just again, sort of just with that as well, I think it all connects, like going back to like substance abuse, where we're all sitting here and we're all saying again, like, you know, oh, you think about it on your days off, you get the text, you know, basically you're at work 24/7, you know, like your mind's always on it. And I think again, sort of like Ryan said about before when he was a bit younger, having a couple of beers every night, I was at a stage where every night I'd have 2-3 beers, 2 cans of beers, 3 beers. And then if it was like Friday night when I was in the city and we used to actually have weekends off, which actually worked out nice, we'd go out drinking, all the chefs. And then I'd go out drinking Saturday night with my mates. And then Sunday afternoon, a few more beers. And I think it's just a way of switching off. And that's where also chefs find it. It's not just like the stress. I think we find it as well very difficult to really pull out of the kitchen because of your passion, because we care so much about what we're doing. And we do. That's the thing. I still love working in the kitchen lots of hours because I actually enjoy it. But when you're forced into that corner of having to work and again, not getting paid and you're not getting that respect, it can be a very negative feeling. But I think, like I say, it's sometimes when you could be at home and you're worried about, I don't know, you might have a big event the next day and you're sitting there and you know, oh, do you know what? I'll just grab a beer, you know, and then you can actually relax for a couple hours before you get into bed and you're thinking about work again, you know. I mean, I'll just finish. I'll say one of my first jobs. I remember an ex of mine used to wake me up and be like, "You're rolling bread in your sleep again," and I'd be trying to roll bread in my sleep, thinking I was in the kitchen. Like that's how much I was, you know, in it still. It was crazy. I drove around the end.
I shouted at Vic, probably I think it was last year. I started shouting. She's sick of it now. I rolled over to go, "Where are the chips?" like I haven't got any chips. So I just went, ugh. Roll back. I hate getting the text. She knows. Like if we're out with, this is before obviously we had our second because obviously he was born in lockdown. But when we used to be out with our firstborn, we'd be, you know, take him out for the day, you know, it's your day off, you know, looking forward to taking him to like a soft play or something, you know, you get buzzed because, you know, you're a bit of an idiot dad and you want to go down the slide, go in the ball pit, you know, let loose. And then you get, you know, she'd look at me because my phone will get a little text, so I have a look and my face will change. So she'll see, she'll go, chef text you, or as work text you or something like that, and they can and then you're in a bad mood for your day off with your family, and it drags you down, it makes you weary, and you just be there. And
in my previous job, I mean, I would be at work all week just wanting to be at home, and then I would get to my days off and then all I would do is worry about work for 2 days, and I'd upset my other half and I'd upset myself, and then before you know it, he's back to work again, and then again worrying about all you want to do is be at home. So it's a massive thing with mental health. Yeah, if you're in a, it's such a, like where we do work so many hours and stuff, if you're in a job that you hate, I mean, it's got to be the worst situation to be in. I mean, you're working 15 hours a day in a job that you hate. I mean, I don't think you can get much worse than that. And I think that's where the drinking comes into it. And like you were saying, you would go home and have a beer, Ben. Like my thing, I mean, I don't really drink and I've never done drugs, but smoking, Ryan, was my thing when we was at college, you know, being in the hot kitchens at college, and then everyone would go out and smoke. Like, I'd never touched a cigarette before. And then it is just a release. You go out and sort of everyone else is smoking, and then you end up looking forward to a cigarette break. And wherever I've worked, that cigarette break's just that little sort of 10-minute, 5-minute respite that you can go and sit outside. And it's so true that even if you don't smoke, the chances are you will end up smoking, because it is just that little break.
Anyway, hence the name, the smoking.
Yeah, hence the title. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, that's it. That's what I mean. My partner said, she's like, why has he named it the smoking shower? And I said, well, because it's the only break you get at work. Again, like,
no,
you know, you get.
Well, I mean, Big's like, why have you called it that? You don't smoke, do you? Getting off the negative.